Hi again. So last video we ended up with a script that will give us area information in real time while we're sketching a plan. So we can now very quickly start to analyze area information of a plan while we sketch. However, at the moment, our script is only working for one of the levels. It's only working if everything is on the same plane. So if I were to copy this, it stops working. So what we're going to do now is we're going to add something in the script that will let us separate layers into branches. And then I can take this, copy it onto the first floor, move it to the correct height, and begin to read this properly. Let's just open our script. And the problem is, everything that's being taken from layers called wall lines and division lines is flattened, and it's all meant to be processed together. So we have to add something in between here, which sorts all of these curves into their correct levels. Now, one way would be to divide everything into layers that say wall lines first floor or wall line second floor, and so on, and have lots of different inputs for each layer. But an easier way of doing this is to just take all of these curves, read some information about their height. In this case, we're going to do that by just reading the z value from the start point. And once we have that, we can see that there are inputs at two heights, at 6 meters and 0 meters. So what we can do is create a set. A set takes a range of values and turns them into a list of unique values. So it's only going to show a 6 and a 0. So once we do that, we sort those. So we'll get 0, 6, and they're all going to be in order. Graph them, so it'll create a branch for each height, and then try to find for each branch all of the z values that are equal to this height. And if we then take that and use that to eliminate from each branch all of the values that are not at the height specified for that branch, and there it is. We've divided everything into two branches, and each branch has all the curves that belong only to that height. And this is a really useful way of doing it, because I don't need to be very neat about the way that I draw. For example, I can just take this, copy it at any height that I want, even if it's not in the correct layers that I specified, just to make it easier to draw. I could do this. Now we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 levels. And all of those levels are automatically given their own branch and at their own height. So here I can read all of the heights. Well, it's better to do it here. From 0 up to 50. So again, we're trying to do things in a way that makes it as easy as possible to draw. So then that can just be connected to here. And where else? Here. And once we check what's happening, now each of these levels is being calculated correctly because they're all on a separate branch according to their height. Now, the problem is that when you've got multiple levels and they're all getting displayed at the same time, it becomes pretty much impossible to use this as a sketching tool. So we need to find a way to control what level is being shown so we won't be distracted by any other information in this projection. Let's just call this now. Where that's going to happen is going to be right before we display the information. So if, say, we've got 7 levels and 7 branches, we're going to want to control which branch is being shown. And we're going to do that by, let's first bring the information forward here. So we've got our surfaces, and we've got our points on the surfaces where the points are displayed, where the areas are displayed. And we're going to work with these. First, we're going to simplify them because the branch names have gotten pretty complex. By simplifying them, they get much shorter. And these two should match in data structures, and they do. Now, at the moment, there's a branch for every single surface. So we want to shift paths. And so there's only one branch for each level, like so. Now there's only 7 branches, and everything that's contained in them is in that same branch. Now it should be pretty simple to just specify with the slider a branch name. So if I want branch 0, I should be able to select 0. Branch 1, I should be able to select 1. And in order to turn this into a branch name, all you have to do is put it into the correct format. So you've added brackets to the beginning and the end of this, and you just add them in order so that the number is in the middle, and you should be able to extract a tree branch. So this is the branch, this is the data tree, and that retrieves just the information from that branch. Do that for both of these. and just connect those. Just hide everything back here. And you can see that only the information for the selected level is shown. And now this should be working properly in plan as well. Now there is one problem that you'll find, which is kind of a deal breaker at the moment, which is if I delete all of this information, then it stops working. Why? Because if I only have one level, then when I try to shift paths to eliminate the smallest branch, then it just eliminates everything. Because there are no two branches for levels for it to shift to. And to get around this, we're going to have to do a sort of complex trick here, but it's not too difficult. The first thing we want to do is to test for a null value. So if this is a null, this is going to return a true. Now what happens? If this is true, then I don't want to use whatever's here. I want to use whatever's here. And I can do that simply by taking this structure, flattening it to get just the list of items that I would get if it had selected this single branch. And if this is true, if this item is null, I want to keep this information. Now when I do that, and then I merge those two results, it'll either have this information if this fails, or just this information if it succeeds, because then if this is working, then this will be false and this will be eliminated. So there, that's working. Let's just copy this over to this side as well. So we have to do the same thing for this one. And change this. So let's try it. If I duplicate this to another level, no, I think that should have been done there. Okay, yeah, it was a misconnection there. Now it works. So there's two levels, and I can change branches as I find it convenient. And if I remove one of the levels, then it's still working, because then it's caught that error. Now the points are a bit annoying. We might want to hide those. And it's always nice, again, to have your parameters around the same place. And we can label them. Call this level to display. And so you just keep track of what level you're sketching on and make sure that this matches it. And so now you won't have a problem sketching on the correct level.